Hello and welcome to this session entitled Defamation, Meaning, Serious Harm, Defences and Remedies with me, Keith Markham. As always, let's begin by having a look at the agenda for this session. So let's just go ahead with that straight away. So the first thing we're going to look at is the concept of meaning. One of the most important aspects of any claim for defamation is the need to establish what the meaning of the words that were written, in our case, or indeed spoken in some cases, actually meant. There's a whole load of rules going back to a case called Kutsajanis, which I'll briefly refer to, and there are particular considerations with regard to publication by way of social media. And we're going to look at a number of issues around identifying meaning and also looking at issues around the severity of that meaning. We're then going to move on to talk about issues around serious harm. Now, the meaning of serious harm now, after a number of years, is well established, but we're going to see that in a particular case that we'll review, there is a contentious point where effectively there was a statement made, then there were some intervening circumstances, and then further events took place. And we're going to look at whether it's necessary to assess serious harm on one occasion or whether it's necessary to come back and assess it on a second occasion. And that was one of the big issues in that particular case. We'll then go on to talk about defences. So we're going to look at two defences today. We'll look at public interest in some detail, and we're also going to look at truth. And finally, we're going to look at the issue of remedies. So obviously, as you will be aware, classically we can ask for an injunction to prevent further publication and so on. And also we can ask for damages. And there are some fairly detailed rules, particularly around damages, and we'll look at what those are, and we'll apply those again through the prism of a couple of recent cases. So a wide-ranging agenda. Let's turn straight away then to perhaps the most important authority that was decided this year, or at least finalised this year, and that's the case of Banks and Cadwallader. So there's really an awful lot of sort of fairly complex background to this. Obviously, Banks is Aaron Banks, a fairly well-known businessman involved in the Vote Leave campaign during the referendum, involved in funding arrangements for that, and so on. And on the other side of this, we have Carol Cadwallader, who is a journalist who works for The Guardian, amongst others. And effectively, she made, as we're about to see, a series of statements about Mr. Banks that he said was defamatory. Now, there are in fact